so far our scenario analysis has not been that different from what we've been doing in the past, but here comes the tricky part. So these rows, so these 5 columns that we have left empty at this moment, these are going to be the parts where we're actually going to connect it to our operating model. So instead of these numbers here, we're going to link these quantity assumptions to our empty columns over here. So what we have to do is we're going to make a trigger, we're going to make a drop-down menu. So a selection button, some kind of button. And depending on what you select, we want the desired selected scenarios pulled out and displayed in these cells over here. So let's first build a drop-down menu on the far left. So we're going to write revenue scenario. And then let's merge these two cells over here. So Alt-H, merge and center. We rarely use this function, but for the sake of our design, let's merge these two cells over here. We're going to go to formulas. We're going to go to data. We're going to go to data validation. And we're going to select data validation. For those of you who want to use your shortcuts, it's going to go Alt-A, V, and V. So data validation, we're going to choose list. We're going to input bull case, base case, and bear case. And if you press OK, then that's going to generate a selection drop-down menu. And now you can select one of these cases. Let's do a little bit of formatting. Let's make a thick box. So the shortcuts would be Alt-H-B, and then for thick borderlines, Alt-H-B-T. I'm going to make a thick borderline. Let's do a little bit of formatting. So not super important, but highly recommended. These are input tabs, so in many cases these are also colored in the color yellow, but I wouldn't say these are mandatory. And also changing the font color to show that how important it is to select the revenue scenario. All right, and there are many ways to connect. So there are many ways to connect your selections to the actual assumptions being pulled out. But we're going to teach you the most fashioned way to do that. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to build an if formula. And we're going to make, convert these individual cases, assign them a number. So we're going to assign number 1 to the bull case. We're going to assign number 2 to the base case. Lastly, we're going to assign number 3 to the bear case. So when we select bull case, we're going to let a number 1 to show on the far left. number 2 for the base case and number 3 for the bear case. So we're going to use a simple if function. So we're going to write if, a simple function. So if this equals the phrase bull case, comma, we want the number 1 to be shown. We're going to create another if function. If, again, this column over here, this cell over here equals base case, we're going to show number 2. And lastly, comma, if it's neither of these two words, we're going to let number 3 to be shown to the cells. So a basic if formula, enter. Let's do a little bit of stress testing. If we select the bull case, it should show number 1. If we change it to base case, we're gonna, yep, it shows number 2. For the bear case, number 3. So we can see that it's functioning okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to choose we're going to use a choose function. So I think it's better that we actually build one before explaining to you. We're going to use a choose function. Choose. We're going to choose from this number over here, but we're going to anchor it because we want to move it across, and we're also going to copy and paste to the bottom as well. So we're going to anchor it. So just once, press F4 just once, comma. For value 1, we're going to select the bull case scenario just right below your formula, comma. For value 2, we're going to choose the base case. And for value 3, we're going to choose the bear case. And we're not going to be anchoring these numbers. So this is how to use the choose function. And what it does is that because number 2 is displayed on the index reference, it's pulling out the second number that you have designated. So it's pulling out 12.77. But as soon as we change this to bull case, now we have number 1 displayed, and it's pulling out the first assumption, the first value of the choose function, which is 25.4%. So let's move these across. Copy, paste, paste, and paste. Let's see if this works properly. Let's change it to base case, which changed the number to 2. And now this row over here is pulling out the second option of the 3 options. Lastly, for the worst case as well, the bear case as well, again, it's working fine. It's working perfectly okay. So let's maintain our base case for now, and a little bit of formatting. And now I guess it's time that we connect it to our original functioning model. So let's come to our EBIT tab and first erase the assumptions that we're going to connect. So it's going to be these 4 assumptions, quantity assumptions for these 4 product areas. And also let's make notes that these are going to come from the scenario analysis tab. Yep, and lastly, let's connect these assumptions to our scenario tab and make it work. So for Botox US vials sold, we're going to connect US vials sold. For international Botox, we're going to connect international Botox. Whoops. And lastly, for the international fillers as well. And let's see if it's working properly. Let's see how the results of our DCF valuation changes. So for our base case, the results from our current model is $62.09. Obviously, if we change this to our bull case, let's see how it changes. It's hitting the EBIT tab and the model tab, and then it's hitting eventually the DCF tab, and we can see how much the valuation results differ from our base case. So it's a huge difference because these inputs are very, very sensitive to our entire model. If you choose bear case, it goes as low as 49.17. So we can see that, you know, the base case and the bear case are not that different, but the bull case gives a huge difference to our results. And, you know, usually that kind of scenario analysis is what the analysts and investors usually like. They want the downside risks as minimum as possible, but they want the upside risks to be displayed as much as possible. So it shows a much more brighter prospect for the company's future share prices. But as you can see, it's quite, you know, uncomfortable, you know, having to change these scenarios on this tab and then coming back to our DCF tab to see how it's changed, and coming back to our model tab to how, you know, margins and other type of financial metrics change accordingly. So in order to resolve this inconvenience, we're going to build an output tab on the far right.